Doge. Doge is Australian for dog.
This is Jerry, aka Barnacules, and I am Tribal Instincts. And so if you haven't seen it already, go over to his channel and watch it first and then come back and see this. I'll put a link in the description. He just got done playing some of the Brookhaven Experiment, which if you've seen my videos, you know that it's kind of amazing.
That's a scary game.
Dog down. So here, we're going to ask him, well, just sort of pick his brain and understand how he was feeling in that time. Y'all know my reactions, right? Y'all know exactly how deeply invested I am into VR, but I'm just one dude, right? So this is Barnacules, and what was... So, okay, if you had to pick one thing about that entire thing, what was it that that sold you on VR?
The thing that really got my attention in that is when they start getting close to you.
Yeah.
And you turn around and you see them, and your brain makes the connection that it's like the audio, you perceive that distance, and now you see something there, you panic.
Yep.
As you can see, there was no controlled method of pulling the gun. As soon as it was like there, and you caught it in the flashlight, you were just spraying and praying, trying to gun them down. And I would say that's probably the most exhilarating part of it. And then just the genuine fear reaction that you have, that even though you know you're in a game, the depth perception and everything is so realistic that your body still has this like need to fight it.
Yeah.
When things get close to you, you get that stiffness, that like, I don't want this thing to touch me. And it's genuine.
Oh yeah. Well, so if you haven't seen the video, the very first time that we shot it, well, okay, I screwed up. All right, I wasn't recording OBS first, so we only got this particular camera's angle from it.
Nope.
And no, it was so bad. If you've watched my stream, you understand I do this every freaking time. This time it took me 30 minutes to figure it out.
There'll be great outtakes though, because man, I was like, I'm surprised it's like people didn't call the cops, because I legitimately, at least 3 times, I shrieked. It wasn't even a scream. It was a shriek. And I'm not a shrieker.
Right.
I am not, I'm not a manly man. I'm actually kind of a when you get all down thing. But still, I don't shriek usually.
So what was amazing about the first particular take, now this happened in the second one too, but in his first take, he started off and he was fine, he was getting some headshots, and then just like in my video, right, whenever that very first time where you turn around and you saw that zombie,
yes.
All of a sudden your hand starts uncontrollably shaking, and headshots, the entire concept of shooting them where it matters, goes out the door, and you're just like, no, stop!
Yeah, and you literally like feel droplets forming on the back of your neck and in between your shoulder blades. It's like your heart rate just takes off so explosively.
Yeah, I love it.
That adrenaline rush. And then once that adrenaline rush comes through, you can't hit the broadside of a barn. Yeah. Which makes me wonder, like, what the hell good is adrenaline? Like
you stop, your brain stops thinking.
Man, I'm calm and I can kill these things, but my body really wants me to die. That's kind of like
I think it's only good for running, which is very bad if you try to do that in VR. This doesn't help in Brookhaven Experiment.
No, and that's the thing is, like, at the end there, I got the grid to stay up.
Yep.
And I'll be honest, it actually made me feel kind of safe. It was kind of like being in the shark cage a little bit.
Yeah,
I noticed
I don't recommend that for your first time. It is so much fun just to feel like you're there.
Leave it off, because when the cage is on, you have a sense of space in the room. You can't go out of that space. When it's gone, you know that you have a limited amount of space that you can move in, but in the game it's unlimited.
Yep.
So you don't really know where that boundary is, and what it does is it actually puts you on edge.
Yep.
Because no matter how bad you want to run, you can't. Yep. You can't, like, I could totally see somebody, and I know this is going to happen. We're going to see this video on the internet at some point, where some dude's doing this, and he's just going to take off booking.
Oh, it's already happened. Whenever my daughter was playing budget cuts, like one of her first time, she tried running through my wall. And so y'all seen any other video that I've done with her since then? Whenever it's in one of those times, I'm like getting ready to catch her because she wants to bolt. She doesn't want to stick her out.
How do you handle that situation in an apartment when you move out? Be like, those 3 holes right there, those are Oculus Vive. They're a little bit bigger than a $1 bill. Like what? Like how do you handle that? Seriously, like I noticed the way that I grounded myself in the game, not so much the first time, but the second time around was I noticed that there was like the duct tape and the bag on the ground.
Yep.
And I noticed that they take very great care in developing the game so that you have spatial awareness. Like if it just dropped you in the middle of a field, like the Matrix, like and maybe you can cut in like a little piece of the Matrix right here. It's just this big white vast room. And you feel like you could just run in any direction and just smash into stuff. Yep. And that kind of makes you a little uneasy and it makes you not want to move at all. you actually get frozen because you don't know where your boundary is and you're afraid you're going to run up on it. I noticed that when the bag was there and the duct tape and the things on the ground, I had those reference points.
Yeah.
I felt a lot more comfortable because I knew I could run between the bag and the duct tape.
You know, I've never noticed that, but Space Pirate Trainer actually has a similar thing where you're able to see the map ahead of you.
Yes.
And yeah, I feel very comfortable moving all throughout there because I know, based off of where that center point is, I know how much room I have. I never thought about that. But
No,
yeah,
that's
that is
huge.
a great game design.
Yeah, no, and that's what I locked onto. Like, as soon as I knew I had those reference points, every once in a while, you'll notice in the game, I look down.
Yeah.
And it's because I'm looking for that bag and looking for that duct tape. And then I know if I've got a zombie coming in, I can take a step back. And then another strategy that I was using is I would lunge forward to the edge of the perimeter to give myself room to back up. So people are always talking about, the biggest question I get is, can you really move around a room? And the answer is absolutely. And they said that they see a lot of videos where people stay stationary. Now, I could see why you'd want to stay stationary your first time doing this, because it is a little unnerving because you're inside of it, but they've done great things to combat that. Like, you can bring up that Tron-style display where you can see everything in your entire field of view.
And if you're super paranoid, that can come up by default if you get too close to a boundary or too close to another object. So they have really good safety measures. So
That's awesome.
Explore it. Like just feel out your surroundings, get used to it. Baby steps, right? I mean, it's okay to stay still at first, but man, there are some games that you just cannot play without moving around. Space Pirate Trainer, you have to dodge, you have to duck, you have to roll on the ground in some situations. So yeah, that is what makes the Vive so incredible, is that you stop thinking about those things after a while, and it just becomes part of that world.
What really blows my mind about the VR, though, is that you have, like, the flashlight. The flashlight is epic. And we figured out that you can flip it around.
Yeah, I've played this so many times. I had no idea. The button above the trackpad, you can hold it like this, which really, like, what was it? Arizona Sunshine had a very similar mechanic where you hold it up.
Yeah.
And it really brings you into it. Like, I don't know what it is about holding your hand up in that position. It raises the level by quite a bit. So I'd recommend, if you haven't tried it that way, do it with the reverse.
Well, that's actually shooter position.
Yeah.
Because if you shoot, you cross your arm over your wrist, and that way you can keep the flashlight forward while controlling the sights. And I didn't realize, but I was like, yeah, it's kind of weird holding the flashlight like this while you're shooting the gun.
Well, you could always, just change which direction you're holding the controller.
Oh, just flip the controller around?
Right. I mean, because at that point it's,
You just single-handedly made me look like the stupidest person on the entire internet right there.
They added a button to do it, so obviously this is a valuable thing. And
you forgot to hit record no BS. I'm out of here. Interview over.
But no, okay. To redeem you, it is awkward to hold it this way, but you can do it however you want. But there's a button right up there.
For you guys that don't know, there's actually emitters in the corner of the room. I'm sure you know it if you watch his channel. I'm sure he's already gone through this entire thing. He probably, like, every episode's like, there's emitters on the ceiling. But
a little bit more cool.
A little bit cooler than that, I bet. But that's what makes this really special. Is we're in a room. I'm going to say this room's probably about 15 by 15.
10 by 11 is the actual play space.
Oh, is there? Oh, 10 by 11. Okay, is the inner space of the room.
Yep.
10 by 11.
15, that's about right.
It's a decent sized room. But what's the largest that these can handle?
So I have a map, or you can actually go in and view a map, and I have it. It looks like I can maybe move this out by half, but then you lose some occlusion, right? So with the way they are right now, they have almost the perfect tracking. But I think it's 15 by 15 feet is the recommended specs for how far these things should be apart.
Gotcha. So any more than that, you might experience some interesting unforeseen.
One of them might not be able to see you just as well. That's the recommended though.
Okay.
I think that at some point we should test that to its limits. So that was a demo that you played.
Yes. Oh, that was it. Yeah, that was 5 waves. What was my total time in the game? Because I lost complete perception at a time. It felt like it was pretty fast, like maybe 10, 15 minutes.
No, I would say probably your first wave through, you were killing them a little bit slower. I think 15 to 20 minutes is probably about average for that demo.
Okay, but and then it just abruptly ends after that monster basically comes over and drools all over you, and you're like, oh God, don't get me.
They tease you a little bit with that one. But so I mean, they're adding a lot more content. I mean, and this is the thing I've been experiencing for the past month is these demo games, these simple, small demo games.
Just demos.
They're enough to completely change the way that you think about games, and obviously make you break out in full body sweats.
I know the exercise potential for this thing is amazing. I mean, I could totally see Richard Simmons picking one of these up.
Whenever I started, I was 234. Now I'm down to 227. So, I mean,
I had to go buy a bike with an electric motor on it just to get me outside.
I'm not going outside.
I need this. You should get an exercise bike and play HTC Vive.
I want to. They actually I saw something where they're integrating where you can control your game with a bike. So that's going to be so much more fun.
No, this is going to be epic, man. So the future of VR. Let's go that direction. Yep. So we've seen over the years, I would say over the last 5 or so years, we've seen Oculus was pretty much ran unopposed forever. I mean, there were some other things.
It was the
in the
only
works,
thing. I
but
mean, there was nobody else that was, well, at
they were
least
the only ones you could
announced as
buy.
even trying.
They were the only ones you could buy something from, right? Everybody else would be like, oh yeah, or you had like Google Cardboard. And let me tell you right now, guys, there is a huge difference. I get these questions too from people because a lot of people aren't really technical, right? You don't have to be technical to enjoy something like this. It's a very natural experience. If anything,
you have to be less technical to
exactly,
enjoy this.
you could actually pick this up and just use it versus having to learn how to use a mouse and keyboard and get coordinated. A first-person shooter with this, could you imagine this like combined with like one of those running platforms?
Yeah, Virtuix Omni, they're actually doing one of those things.
If you had the Omni in the middle of your room coupled with this with a 360-degree head tracking, you could literally, in the Brook Haven, you could just run up and down the streets and into buildings and up and down the stairs. It would be a trip.
Oh my gosh, I cannot wait. It's so close.
I would lose like 40 pounds in a month. The second time, I was cool for the first two waves. Well, about the end of wave 2 got a little scary when you decided to be a but or I think it was wave 2
what he
or wave 3.
means is I enhanced his immersion in the game.
He grabbed me as a zombie was coming up behind me, and the sound perfectly aligned with what he was doing. About had a heart attack.
It was perfect.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been so funny if I pooped on your rug, dude.
I tried that in the first one, but I didn't get the timing right. So I'm almost glad that it got us to get you through that again, just so I can give you payback for that one.
The one thing I can genuinely say, though, is that experience is about as real as I've ever had any experience. Like, I'm talking even going like Disneyland and riding roller coasters and doing stuff like that. The genuine fear that brings out of you just standing in the middle of a living room with wireless headphones on it's an unprecedented experience. You can't convey it through a video. Like, I've done stuff like, a lot of people are like, oh, I've done the Rift, like the best Rift demo I ever did. And again, I'm not knocking Rift. I will be reviewing a Rift, though. I have somebody who's getting the day one, they'll have it. And they're just going to hand it over to me to...
That was a couple days ago.
Oh, well, then he's got it. I just haven't asked him for it yet. Damn it, Kevlar Condom, give me the Rift.
Well,
Stop hoarding it.
The Kickstarter.
Stop hoarding it. No, but no, I'm gonna review his. And the thing is because the Rift is more of a stationary experience. Yeah. It's not that it feels any less real. Like with the Rift, I did the best experience I did was the roller coaster. Yeah. If you do the roller coaster in the Rift, you're sitting in a chair and you tend to want to do this. It makes you want to rock and turn, and you feel it. You feel it in your brain is so damn convinced. Yep. But the second that you stand up out of the chair, you want to just go over tea kettle, like flipping over tables. I almost fell through a table. 2 people.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
I've seen the videos of people doing
Yeah, there's a video of 2 people, like, I'm standing up and I'm doing this, and I'm like, nope, I got it. And then I start going, and luckily they were there to grab me because it was a folding table in front of you with a computer on. I almost went through it.
Oh, man.
I completely lost my footing. But the thing about that is it's designed to be a stationary experience, whereas the Vive is designed to be a mobile and moving experience. Yep. And the one thing I noticed is the Vive, even though I'm standing, every time I've ever tried to stand in a Rift demo, it didn't matter what it was, I got some kind of motion sickness because you're always facing one direction and you have very limited motion.
So they fixed that with the CV1 from what I've
seen. Good.
Okay, so you can do standing experiences in the Rift from what I've seen, but it does not have the full field of view. I mean, they only have one camera pointing in one direction, right? So, I mean, it doesn't have the same experience. They hopefully will get on that, but I don't know. I hope that they fix it.
Look how fast you can spin around in that, though. That's the thing is the headset, they finally lightened it enough. Like the Rift DK1 and DK2 were like a cinder block with a strap around the back of your head. This is legitimately comfortable, other than the giant sweat mess I made inside of it. But the thing is look how fast you can turn around and engage an enemy. Mm-hmm. Because you don't have, the goggles don't flip. If you tighten it down right, they don't flip around on you. So I could spin 180 degrees, get right onto a head and fire and spin right back another 180 degrees as fast as I could without a headset on holding like a real fire.
I think the only way that you're going to get that thing off your head is if you're in some like heavy metal experience and you're absolutely dead set on doing some headbanging.
And you don't have motion blur. That's the other thing they fixed is no motion blur. Like even computer monitors, when you move really fast, you see a blur unless it's like 144 hertz, like gaming monitor. You see a blur, and in this, when you move your head really fast, again, I know you can't compare like the DK2 to this. I mean, they're 2 different generations of products. But I'm comparing past VR to where VR is currently. Right. It's like VR currently, you're so comfortable that you could easily stay in there for hours. Like people are always like, oh, you can't game for hours because you'll get fatigued. I don't believe that that's the case with this. I believe if you're sitting on a couch, like you might get tired from running around, but I believe if you're sitting on a couch or a chair and you're playing Space Pirates and just looking around and shooting and doing it, I think you could stay in there pretty much all day.
So I've actually played Elite Dangerous in this thing for like 4 or 5 hours straight. No problems. None whatsoever in that. Yeah, none.
I want to try. Can I try Elite Dangerous?
Sure. Yeah.
We'll do that after this.
Cool.
And you guys don't get to see it. Special privilege, you know what I'm saying?
But the horror elements of this, you've experienced in full.
Yes. It is scary. It legitimately is scary.
There is the other spectrum that I tried yesterday. I tried it a couple days ago, but I really got into it yesterday for this game, or this, not even a game. It's called Realities VR, or Realities IO, sorry.
Okay.
And they tour European cathedrals, castles, and everything. Have you ever gone outside the US? So this game, or this thing, you come in there and you look up at 30, 40, 50 feet, I don't even know how tall it was, and it has the exact opposite emotion of fear. Like, I cannot convey that. Like, it was the single most immersive thing I've ever done, because they...
Are you saying that it was, like, legitimately relaxing? Like...
Well, no, relaxing is not the right word. It was, like, seriously, like, gut, like, clenching, like, oh my gosh, I was in awe of this thing, because they do full 3D scans of these entire environments.
Oh, so you're not seeing a simulation.
No.
You're seeing like a 360-degree camera recording.
With texture, with depth, with stairs, okay. I mean, everything. I've got to show you that. So the VR, outside of games, like before I was totally into games, but the stuff that they're about to do with this technology for capturing it, like children as they grow up, 360 degrees all around them.
Or therapy.
Oh my gosh.
Think about the therapy aspects of this. Think about if you're stressed. Let's say you suffer from like PTSD or something, like you're really stressed, you're in a small confined environment like this, you never leave your house. This could be a stepping stone to get you out of your house and to like treat agoraphobia.
Yeah.
Because you could slowly increase your area with physically knowing you're not leaving your house, and become more comfortable with that. Or you could do things like, if you're really stressed out, go on a beach, sitting in a lawn chair on a beach and having the directional sound of the waves and being able to look around and sit back and relax and just have that glow on your eyes. You know what I mean? Like that, like the blue light therapy.
And then you're
Get a heat lamp. I mean, joking aside, I
don't think that's a joke. Like, I really think that's the future. We're going to have these pods set up that can simulate these things, but I mean, before it ever even gets to the house.
Oh yeah, like the cold and the heat and smells and stuff like that.
I mean, you've seen the stuff for Void, right? Where it has the room around you and then you can have actually water spray in your face. So you are sold on that experience.
What was that game show that used to be on a while ago that got canceled because people were like almost dying on it? Where they were it was called like the Pod or something like that. I think it was like Pod or the Chamber. They'd put people in this chamber and they would ask them questions while they would rapidly drop the temperature to like -50 wind chill, and then they would heat it up to like 140 degrees, and they'd transition these environments, then spray water on them.
That is not the environment that I pictured going
No. But I'm just saying, if you combine that with a VR experience, you actually can torture people in a much smaller space. But all things aside,
it's not what I wanted to do.
I'm just saying, VR should not be used for bad. Why does my mind always go to this really morbid place? I think it's because I've been a YouTuber for too long. The internet's turned me evil.
Oh, man. All right, guys. I hope you all enjoyed this. Again, this is Jerry. This is Barnacules. Check out his channel. I'm sure all of you are already following him. I mean, he has an amazing channel. Goes into all this other nerd stuff. It is great. So check it out.
I don't even have a real job. This is all I do. That's how cool I am.
He keeps on rubbing that in my face. I have to go to work tomorrow. Okay, anyway.
It's okay. My boss is a bigger dick than yours. I don't know whose boss is, though, so don't fire him, okay?
I don't know how to respond to that.
Whoever his boss is. I think his name is what? Doug? John? James? Frank? Jeremy? Joel? Anyways, guys, see you later.
All right, guys. Peace.